welcome back to Japan and to our World Tour Wednesdays, where we do a little bit of international music reviewing, and we're going to be checking out, was it House of Circles by Mr.Gnome? What an interesting name that is. As always, this is the review video if you want to see the reaction that I just did. If you like seeing how my face moves when I hear the song, or if you just haven't heard the song yourself, pause this, click the link in the description below, it'll open up a separate little YouTube player where you can watch the video with me should you so wish. Otherwise, I'm about to give you the review. Are you ready for the review? Have you watched the reaction yet? Do you need to? Do you already know the song? Do you just not care and just want to hear the review? Because that's what's about to happen. Don't say I didn't warn you. Here's the review. So when I jumped into an 8-minute and 20-second song, I was thinking this could go in many, many different directions. And it started with that big, dramatic sort of spoken story. And it, from the get-go, it had all of the hallmarks, sort of the dark imagery, the sort of fabled story and everything. You kind of thought this is going to go in like one of those sort of metal video directions. It kind of reminded me of, I can't remember the name, but I'm sure a lot of people know this. Apparently it was a relatively famous one. I'm not an anime person, I'm sorry to say. So I don't really know the reference, but Attack on Titan, there's the music video that goes along with that. Me and James reviewed that on the previous channel before we had to restart everything. And we laughed because it was clear they were going for drama, but the imagery, all the visuals just came out looking really tacky. This, to me, was what happens if you do it right. This was clearly produced on an extremely low budget, and yet they really nailed the visuals. But the song was the interesting thing. Because like I said, I was expecting it to go in that sort of dramatic, bombastic, sort of hard rock, heavy metal, orchestral direction like the Attack on Titan song did. It didn't. This was something, well, it kind of veered a little bit towards the end, but that was in a good way. It was building up towards that. However, this started off with a sort of a jangly, almost like folk rock feel to it. Sorry, hiccups. A lot of coffee. I'm okay, I promise. So, no editing on the channel, as always. So, it started off in that sort of folk rock way. And like I say, at the time, the vocals had that interesting production on it. And the whole thing had such an interesting sort of sound of production that, like I say, it was somewhere between sort of like Massive Attack and Katie Tunstall. In that it had that sort of distorted folk sound that you'd associate with a lot of Katie Tunstall stuff, but also the sort of airy, sort of crazy production. Well, not that crazy, but just sort of enough to give it an otherworldly feel, was very much of the Massive Attack sort of stable, and probably helped a lot by the visuals as well, that really helped boost that sort of atmosphere to it. Now, I felt that this really worked. When the song kicked in initially, I was like, yeah, this is a great beat. It's simple, but it's effective. It's one of those songs where I think sometimes I may be accused for being a big fan of music which is kind of complicated. I like sort of big arrangements, big, complicated, insane things like that. But this is not to say that I can't appreciate that something's just simple and effective and just does all the little things it needs to do right. Now, there wasn't a huge amount happening at the beginning of the song, but it was just everything was happening right. Like I say, when the sort of cymbals, the higher parts, the overheads of the drum kit came in, they were done in that sort of way where they were distorted. There was no clear definition to each hit. It just came in this sort of big fuzzy distortion. And that was nice because it gave a slightly manic feel to the drum beat, while the drum beat itself was still very clear. And that's interesting, the drum beat was quite simple. It was sort of a kick, snare thing. Yeah, that's kind of what it was really accenting for the best part. So doing that kind of thickened up the spaces in between. The way that the vocals were layered with that kind of creepy, echoey feel took a very simple, maybe even a little bit thin, light vocal and made it into something bigger and more mysterious. The production was really beautifully done here, because clearly the song was not about doing anything complex. It was about doing something simple and that just sort of worked, that just sort of had a feeling. I guess you feel like soundscaping, producing a real sort of atmosphere. And that played in beautifully with the video as well, which was not what I would, if I'd heard the song first, this is not the video that I would have expected for it. And yeah, it just really kind of worked with that. Now, obviously, the entire song did not go for 8 minutes 20, and yeah, it was still a relatively long song. I think it was at least 6 minutes of the video was just the, was the actual body of the song. It went very well for that part. I didn't feel like it particularly dragged. However, I must say that we're always honest on this channel. That's the big thing we do. I did like this, and now knowing what it is on re-listens, I would probably enjoy it a lot more on a second or third listen now that I know the direction it's going in. However, on first listen, I think And overall, this would still be a takeaway that I would add to it. I kind of felt like it did such a good job, video as well included in this, in building up a sense of atmosphere, like it was building towards something, that I just felt the second half of the song, it's not that it got long in the tooth, it's just that it started to feel like it was meandering. It didn't really feel like it built to a crescendo to me. The sort of the riff, the impactful thing towards the end, I get that they're going for that sort of punch release thing, but it was, as it was just da, 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 one note for the best part, it felt a little too simple. Like I say, that whole bit at the end, which I think was supposed to be the crescendo, felt like it was the pulling back of the spring just before the punch arrives. It felt like that was the bit where we're building up to the crescendo. As you're getting those building up, like the drum beat building you up to something. It's like everything was impactful, building you up to something, but it didn't quite come. I never felt like the ending really rounded the song off. And I think one of the issues maybe that caused that is because the front end of the song had so many interesting sounds in it. It was so well produced in its simplicity and yet its detailed nuance in how each of the sounds was produced, that when we got to the final bit, because it kind of went for more of a simple rock direction, it felt like it didn't have enough impact to feel like a crescendo, and it didn't have enough atmosphere to feel like it was if you like, a payoff to the mood. It just kind of felt like it simmered down into like a headbangy thing, which was fine in its own right, but I just, like I say, it was nothing wrong with it. It just felt like it was a little bit anticlimactic compared to what came before. And so, I was kind of shocked when I moved the mouse over the play thing and I saw that we were up to 8 minutes. We only had like 20 seconds left and it was clear that no real crescendo was coming. And yeah, like I say, that last bit just felt like it was going round and round. And obviously, I think, I would say obviously in the perspective of the writer, clearly that's the bit they were doing, that round and round, because they felt they were milking what to them was the crescendo, but to me it didn't feel like a crescendo, so it felt more like they were milking the build up to something that wasn't coming. So I got to admit, maybe my only downer on this is the fact that I didn't really feel there was much payoff musically towards the end. Maybe something as simple as adding more sounds behind just the guitar, having something more to thicken it up, having more vocal layering maybe would have helped. Maybe making the guitar riff a little bit more, when I say complex, I don't mean twiddly, I mean just sort of like adding a couple more notes, sort of on a da, 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 maybe just a da, da, da. Yeah, that's just this bad vocal representations of an instrument, as always. Perfect, I know. And also, like I say, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, that probably wouldn't be, I guess, a best chord pattern, but just some sort of movement in those notes to give you a feeling that you are now getting a musical payoff. Because when you just keep on hitting one note, it didn't feel like a payoff. Like I said, I'm kind of talking too much about that point, I think. But like I say, that is something that really is it was the only real takeaway that I got, which was not good. Or not what I wanted it to be. Overall, like I say, now I know that's where it's going. I think it would be easier on re-listens to kind of accept that and just sort of say, well, this is a song that builds up to like just a headbangy boom, boom, and just sort of take it as what it is. I do think, though, that it had some great bits. I mean, the end bit isolated, if you were to assume that was part of a shorter song with less of a build-up, then maybe that would just be sort of like a really great sort of groove, good sort of head-banging groove. Vocal work, like I say, light, airy, atmospheric, brilliant. Production was really nice. Loved the sort of the whole feel of it, the beat. It was amazing how much atmosphere they got out of such simple ingredients. A big hand to the production as well. I wonder, are they a self-produced group? I would have to assume they probably are, because it just seemed the production was so integral to what they did, so intricately layered as well. Just nice. I like the whole mood of it. The video as well, I have to give a big shout out to the video. Like I say, it's one of those ones where it's you can see that it was done on a low budget, and if not supported by a song that had the right sense of it. To be honest, if this had been played over like generic orchestral metal song A, then it would have probably felt cheap, because it would have felt like it was playing in on tropes. But it felt like something much more, because it was grabbing something about the atmosphere, the feel of the song, and bringing it out. It just, like I say, it worked. I thought it was really beautifully directed. I loved the lighting. The lighting was really lovely done. They did all the costumes and stuff were really interesting. I'm not entirely sure that the story was particularly easy to grab everything that was happening, but you could basically see beginning, middle, and end what was going on roughly. just everything about the way it was visually done was really nice. And I thought they had executed so much out of clearly such a light budget that, I think that both the video, I think actually that's the shared quality, apart from the fact that they shared a really nice mood. They were really good at the video and the music were really good at tapping into each other's mood, or obviously the video coming later, the video was good at tapping into the song's mood. I think overall the quality that they both shared, which was really wonderful, was that they were both very good at taking very simple things and making them into much more. I think that's kind of the overall tone of this whole thing. It's like, here's simple, well executed, So yeah, to me, I thought that was a really enjoyable one. Like I say, I have to admit, I did feel that the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. The video managed to pull off more of a climactic end than the song did, unfortunately, but still, definitely enjoyed it. Would be interested to check out more of these guys, maybe on another Future World Tour Wednesday or something like that. But as always, tell me what you think, guys. If you know this, maybe you're new to the channel because you're just checking into this because we usually do Japanese music, but if you're just checking this out because you're familiar with the artist, feel free to let us know. Comments, it's all about conversation here. That's what we love on this channel. I've worked with music my entire adult life, but it does not mean that I am right about everything. Music is subjective. It's only as good as it is enjoyable to your ears. So everyone respectfully give your opinions. Let's talk about it. Really interested if you can tell me more about the artist, more about the video. Maybe there's some more stuff behind this which amplifies the meaning a little bit more. Yeah, feel free to get in there, like and subscribe if you want to do the YouTube stuff. We appreciate it. We're a non-monetized channel, so a big thank you to everyone who follows our Patreon, and it helps us a ton, so a big thank you to you for that. And then furthermore, on top of all of that, I just wanted to say, remember, if you like talking about music, especially Japanese music, then we have a lot of people talking in our social medias, so feel free to follow any of the social medias linked in the description below where you found the reaction link. And until I see you hopefully in Japan for another one of these reviews, or just basically get involved in the comments with you guys, for now, ciao ciao.